Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids, and today we're going to be giving you the basics on how to use binoculars in the woods. In this video, we're going to look at these from XGazer. As you can see on the bottom, they're 10 by 25, and we'll talk about what that means. There is a huge range of binoculars out there, and there's lots of minutia and details you can get into with, higher end binoculars. So in this video, we want to kind of give you the basics of how to set them up and use them, and what the different numbers mean, kind of how they function. I used to use binoculars a lot more in the past when I would go out, bird watching and things like that. And then I wasn't using them as much, and now I've gotten back into them. And so when this company XGazer contacted me and said, hey, do you want to review these binoculars? I thought, yeah, let's kind of do two things. Let's talk about the binoculars and also, 101 of how to actually use them out in the woods. Let's start off and talk about price point real quick. So you can get binoculars for, $2 or $3 that are going to be pretty terrible, up to literally thousands and thousands of dollars. So I'll roll in some photos here. I just put binoculars into the search bar on Amazon, and you could see I found a pair of binoculars for over $13,000. And then you're going to go down to 10, 15, 20 bucks. I would say if you're just getting into using binoculars or you're not super familiar with them, then you want to spend probably, $25 up to maybe $75, and you'll get a good quality pair. The more money you spend, you're probably going to get a better quality pair. These particular binoculars are going to run you a little over $60. So let's show you what you actually get in the box with this set. First thing you'll see here is that you can get a binocular harness if you fill out a review on Amazon for these binoculars. So that's cool. You're going to get a manual. We got a cloth here to clean off your lenses. You get this pouch that the binoculars actually stay in, obviously. You get a strap for the binoculars, and then you get the set of binoculars. As you can see, I put the strap on, relatively easy to do, just follow the instructions. And whether that's for these or another pair of binoculars, usually the instructions will show you how to do that, or you can figure it out. It's not so hard. Let me talk about the numbers here, 10 by 25. So 10 is the multiplication factor of how many times closer the object you're looking at is going to appear. So an object that's off in the distance because of these binoculars is going to appear 10 times closer than it actually is. The 25 is the number of millimeters across the objective lens here, which is the lens that's going to allow the light in. So the bigger the objective lens you have, the more light is going to come in, and probably the crisper and the brighter in general your view is going to be when you're actually looking at it. Then you have the ocular lens, which is back here, which you're going to be looking into. So that's what the numbers look like. So if you get something that says 20 by 50, it means that an object is going to appear 20 times closer, and it's 50 millimeters across the lens there on the front. So more light's going to be let in. Some people think the higher the magnification is, the better. That could be the case. Sometimes it's good to see things up really close. Other times you have to realize that the closer you're looking at the item, the more shaking you're going to see. And also there's just weight and cost you got to consider. So this is a nice, small, lightweight pair of binoculars versus something that weighed 2 or 3 times the amount. Well, if I really have to see a long distance, maybe that's good, but it may just be more weight than I want to carry around my neck. Let me talk about a couple other things, and then we'll show you how to actually set the binoculars up to use. You want to think also about investing in a pair of binoculars that's going to give you a good crisp image. Also, the amount of curvature when you're actually looking into the binoculars. Sometimes at the edge of your view of the image you're looking at, it's going to start to bend. So there's you also can have color distortion as well. If you get a cheaper versus a more quality made set of binoculars. So those are all things to think about. Again, if you're just getting into binoculars, I would tell you, don't invest a ton of money right off the bat. Figure out what you like, figure out how much you're going to use them, and then you can start investing more down the road. I want to talk through the key components so you understand the vocabulary for the different parts of a set of binoculars. So first up, we have the eye cup, which is right here, and those, again, you can crank those down and crank those out. Next, we have the diopter ring, which is over here, usually on the right side, and that's going to be adjustable. Then we have the housing, which is this section right here and this section right here, and there's a bunch of components inside there, but this is the 2 housing units. Then we have the ocular lens, which is back here. That's what your eyes are up against, or your eyes are close to looking through. You have the focusing wheel, which is here, and then you have your objective lens, which is out at the front. All right, so let's talk about setting them up. The first thing you want to do is roll these eyepieces out so they're as far out as possible. If you are using glasses, you want to crank them down so the glasses will be very close to the lens. If not, roll them out. Next thing you want to do is make sure that basically how far apart or how close the 2 eyepieces are lines up with your face. Obviously, if they're too wide, you're going to be going like this. If they're too close, you can't see properly. So line them up and adjust them so you basically have one field of view, and it should be pretty circular, maybe a little bit oval. You don't want to have something that's like a long flat oval, because then it probably means your eyes are going to be going back and forth between the 2 lenses. So set that up first so you can see clearly, make sure your field of view looks good. And I will tell you that when you're looking through them, you're going to see probably a little black like popping onto the screen. That's just kind of where your eye is falling in relation to the lens, but you'll get comfortable so you can see out clearly. Okay, once we have the eye cups out and an appropriate distance between the two housings, so we have a good field of view, what you're going to want to do is adjust your focus wheel, which is in the middle. So you're going to cover the right lens and then adjust your focus wheel so that your left eye sees really clearly. Okay, once that's done, you're going to switch and you're going to cover the left side, and now you're going to adjust this diopter ring, and now you're going to get the right eye to be right where you want it to be, and then when you look and you take your hands off both of the lenses and you look out, you should have a nice crisp image. Now going into the future, when you want to adjust because something's closer or further away, all you're going to turn now is this center focusing ring. You don't have to adjust anything else to get a nice clear view of what you're looking at out in the distance. Okay, so I'm just going to use my camera to give you a sense of what the experience with binoculars could be like. Obviously, you're looking at more of a rectangular image as opposed to a circular image, but this is what you'd basically see. That let me just point with my finger right here. That little blue and pink tag, that for me is about 10 feet away, right? So as I zoom in, I'll zoom right past or up kind of close to that, but you can see immediately your field of view has shrunk. You can see other things much more clearly, but you can see a lot less. So if I'm looking at one particular bird, animal, whatever it is, that can be helpful. If I'm trying to take in a bunch of images, then obviously your field of view, it's gonna be basically not as helpful because it's zooming in so much. I'll zoom in even more here. And the other thing I want to show you is that when I'm gonna pick up my tripod and hold it now, and it's pretty stable. You can see there's a little bit of motion as I'm holding it. Let me zoom back out here. And your experience of the tripod moving is a lot less. So the bigger field of view, you don't feel the shaking as much. With a set of binoculars, when you get up real close, like say I'm looking at that, those tags right there, it can start to look like this. It can actually start shaking quite a bit. So that's something to consider too. Just because your magnification is greater, it doesn't always mean the best experience. Sometimes you want to take something in between. So yes, you're getting a image that's closer, but it's also not shaking so much that you can't really take it in. Let me talk about these particular binoculars quickly. Obviously, this is my initial use. You saw me unbox them, so I'm going to use them a little bit more over the next handful of days and weeks and such, and then I'll come back and give you more a summary experience of these. But first off is that they do note here, we promise to repair or replace any damage or defect over the life of your product. So that's a win, I would say. If they stand up to that, then you've got something that if it goes sideways, they're going to fix it or replace it for you. There's lots of other information here. It says fully multi-coated, argon purged, dielectric coated. So there's lots of other details and information you can get into when you start really getting into using binoculars. But that information I gave you is basically how to set them up, a couple of the core pieces, a couple of the core elements of a set of binoculars, and then how to use them. Now, like I said, I'm going to use these more before I give you a sense of my kind of broader experience with them. Initially, I can tell you I was using a set of, I think, Bushnell binoculars maybe a week and a half ago, and they're a little bit bigger than this, and you can feel the difference in weight. I've got a set of Vortex binoculars, which they're big and they're heavy. I'm going to get better magnification. They've got a wider lens, so I'm going to get more light coming in. But those are things you need to think of. Like, these are super lightweight. I can wear these and not be bothered by them. I will tell you that you can go, oh, I have a neck strap, so when I put it on, it's not going to bother me. You have something that's heavy on your neck for an hour out in the woods as you're walking, they're bouncing around, they're uncomfortable. That's something you want to think about. So weight is definitely a consideration in addition to the magnification, the quality of the image, and and some other things. All right, I'm going to use these XGazer 10x25 binoculars for a while, and then I'm going to come back in and report to you, let you know what the experience is. Thanks for watching the video up to this point, just to kind of learn the basics of using binoculars. And in a second, you'll see the next portion as I talk a little bit more about these particular binoculars. So I'm back, and I want to wrap up my review on these right here. These are the XGazer 10x25 binoculars. I'm actually out at like an outdoor recreation area here in New Hampshire, and there's an observation point that looks out over a pond. And so I went out there to use the binoculars some more, and also I figured there'd be like turtles, or sometimes there's blue herons, ducks, geese. So there's 2 geese out there, and I'm gonna roll in footage here so you can see them just going nuts, freaking out. As soon as they saw me, they were not happy. So take a look at that footage right here. Now, additionally, what I did is I took my iPhone and I put the camera up to the lens of the binoculars and looked out onto the water. It doesn't give you an amazing sense of what it looks like. It's hard to line up the optics of the binocular with the iPhone camera and all that. But anyhow, just give you a little sense at least of what it looks like to look out onto the water. And you know, there are ways you can adapt a camera or even an iPhone to binoculars to get better vision if you want to take footage. But it'll give you a little sense of what that was like. So overall, I would say the biggest win of these particular binoculars is that they're so lightweight. I know I said this before, but you know, you throw a pair of binoculars around your neck and then you're kind of like, oh yeah, I won't mind wearing those for a while. But then after a while, it's just extra, you know, an extra couple ounces here adds up to an extra couple pounds, and all of a sudden just uncomfortable. So super lightweight, easy to carry. Just another little piece of advice. You can certainly sling them like this, so you know you're ready to get up in view. But also if you're walking, having them like this, or I try to carry them a little bit in the front so they're not bouncing around behind my back. But this is a good way to carry them, to actually, you know, have access to them pretty quickly, but also they're not, you know, just bouncing all around, maybe bothering you, and also you don't want to hurt the binoculars. But you know, for around the $60, $65 range, these have functioned well. I'm gonna dig into XGazer as a company a little bit more. Maybe I'll check out some of their other products. But I've liked using these. My daughter's actually going on a field trip soon, and she was like, can I borrow a pair of binoculars? So I'm like, boom, she's gonna use these, and I can ask her opinion on how they worked and what she enjoyed about them as well. I kind of feel like binoculars are similar to knives, flashlights. I mean, there's just so many options out there, and there's a lot of preference things that people have to take into consideration when you want to purchase. So let me give you just, you know, some final thoughts in relation to these and how I see them fitting into maybe a particular niche or a particular type of person who wants to get binoculars. So, you know, if you're like, hey, I'm ready to spend $500 on binoculars, then these are not the ones. These are $65. So I would call these a little bit above maybe that budget friendly range. You know, I think probably $25 to $45 or $50. So these are a little bit more, but not a ton more. So I think it's a good, maybe just beyond entry level set of binoculars. Second, again, is the weight thing. So if you don't want something huge, I would definitely be encouraging you to check out something like this. They're easy to use. The eye relief is good, as far as, you know, again, I mentioned this before, sometimes when you're looking through binoculars, you can kind of get this black circle that follows you around. That's just your eye lining up with the lens. I didn't have that as a huge issue with these. So, you know, for somebody who's trying to figure out binoculars and use them more often and get comfortable with them, these ones, they don't have a steep learning curve. Some binoculars that are super fancy have all kinds of bells and whistles. There's just more to learn, and I feel like these worked well as kind of a little bit above entry level, but still not overly complicated. They're a good basic set of binoculars. The other thing I'll mention is I was looking at XGazer's website, and they have a monocular, so obviously one lens. And I thought, yeah, let's check that out. Maybe once, twice maybe, I've used a monocular as opposed to binoculars. I just thought that'd be cool to check out. So, you know, monoculars, we'll see what these guys have to offer as far as overall products. What I can tell you is that these have worked well, and I haven't had any issues with them. I've had them for, I would say, maybe a month and a half, around there. And yeah, having used them a bit, they're doing the job. So, you know, I'm gonna put a link down below to both their website and also to Amazon as well. If you want to head over to Amazon, check out what they have to offer for this particular set of binoculars and some other products as well. Just to be clear here, I am by no means the binocular expert. You know, I enjoy using them. I've got some basic, you know, solid knowledge as far as, you know, how to use them and my experience with them. But there's certainly websites out there and other people who have just tons of experience, and that's their focus when it comes to the outdoors. They love using binoculars. So bottom line, after kind of checking them out at home and then getting out in the field and giving them some real use, these XGazer 10x25 binoculars have worked great. So check them out, use the links down below. And as always, thanks for checking out our videos here on YouTube. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram and Tumblr as well. And we're also on Vero now. More videos coming soon. Take care. And in this video, we're going to give you the basics. Binoculars.